Good morning. It's June 2nd, 2024. I wanted to update a letter that I had put on, that I've actually put on my videos previously, but it's really updated, and I think it really needs to go back to back with my video of being a delegate that I was delegated a couple of weeks ago to the police commission at the time. And this was a letter that I wrote at the time. The date on it is October the 25th, 1996. And I think it'll give you an idea of, like, this is why I put past to present, of how things were back in the mid-1990s to compare to where they are in the city today in 2024. And so I'm going to read it, and then I'll do an explanation on it. To the Police Commission, my name is Christine. I'm a housewife and mother of 5 children. Just before my second child was born, I gave up my job as a security guard. I personally believe that I should stay at home and raise my children in the safest and most loving environment that I could provide at home. The world outside was becoming a world of great uncertainty, with more and more violence and fear of the unknown. Not at all a world that I grew up in. My story is about not falling victim to the circumstances beyond my control and grouping with others who believed as strongly as I do in our community efforts to put things right. This has made our community stand out in a positive and most respected manner, not only to the politicians, courts, police force, and other authorities. In 1994, I was at Hittenberg Park with my children. My youngest one was a year and a half old, 1.5 years old. My next oldest was 4 years old. She'd been playing in the sandbox while I was sitting on the bench giving the baby a bottle. My 4-year-old came up to me and asked me to blow up the balloon. I turned to see her handing me a recently used condom. Can you imagine my horror? My story is not unique. Upon telling my story to another mother, her story was as follows. Her 6-year-old and 4-year-old were playing when the 6-year-old picked up a dirty syringe. She was just in time to see him going to stick his 4-year-old sister with it when she leaped between them, plucking the syringe out of his tiny hands. When she asked him what he was doing, his simple response was, "I was just playing doctor." As parents, we do go out and buy our children harmless plastic medical kits. We must be aware that simple pleasures of our childhood may be dangerous today. Upon walking down one block of a street in Hittenberg and seeing 5 condoms and 2 syringes proved to be too much for me. I heard about the meeting at Hittenberg Community Center in the fall of 1994. I went and I signed up for the newly formed security committee, and the rest is history. Here I am today, standing shoulder to shoulder with others on the committee who not only believe strongly in what we do, but have proven ourselves beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, like in the story of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, the Police Commission is about to sweep all our efforts and achievements under the carpet, like a pile of dust, not to mention the dollars that have already been spent and the men and women power of our community police officers who've gone out there undercover, putting themselves in danger to protect us, especially the female officers who lure in the Johns. With the 2 unemployed, unsolved prostitute murders, they themselves could be confronted by the killer or killers, or even some John who is so spaced out on drugs with a syringe in hand. This person may not care because he himself has AIDS. She could be infected before her backup partners can reach her. I went door to door with the petition. The response was overwhelming. Almost everyone I could reach at home signed the petition. If I could walk door to door in the whole of Ottawa, Nepean, Gloucester, Vanier, Canada, etc., I'm sure that the response would be the same. I have people on the petition who have signed from other areas and townships outside of Ottawa, including a woman visiting from Toronto. This petition has taken on a life of its own. It's not only has shown a solid commitment by communities surrounding Hittenberg and Dalhousie concerning the prostitution issue, it is a solid commitment by the community and heartfelt thank you to the men and women in blue for their extraordinary efforts in doing their utmost to protect the community, and especially the very young children who are most vulnerable to the effects of this most negative social behavior affecting our streets. We may be able to vaccinate our children from some diseases, but our police officers are the only vaccine we have on the front lines protecting our children from this plague. Members of the board, I appeal to your sense of humanity. How would you react if your child or grandchild was stuck by a dirty syringe in the park? How would you handle the months of waiting to find out if the child has AIDS? The police sweeps have today cleaned up the streets. Today I can walk down that same street of 5 condoms and 2 dirty syringes and find none. My 2 boys of 13 and 15 years of age can walk freely down to Giant Tiger and no longer be propositioned by the prostitutes. The petition has been signed by many homeowners who pay taxes. Some pay higher than others. With all the problems plaguing this country, such as high unemployment, poverty, racism, the unity debate, etc., it is such a wonderful feeling to go door to door and realize that for all our differences, we can still agree on one thing: our children. No matter what the cost, our children's protection is simply non-negotiable. We can replace our cars, our TVs when they get stolen, but the Police Services Board, to put a price tag on our children's heads is simply not acceptable. For without the precious resources of our children in this country, and in fact no country has a past, present, or future. Has the dollar replaced the value of our children? Have all the politicians, etc., been blinded by the material value of the dollar? In the last few years, it seems that with cuts to education, etc., our children are no longer a precious gift on loan from the Creator, but the property of the bureaucrats to do as they please with. We, as taxpayers, by signing the petition, have given the mandate to the police board to continue the sweeps. The petition gives the green light to our officers to continue to do their jobs as their oath says, to serve and protect. Please continue to protect our children in these hard times. We are saying again, the protection of our children is simply not non-negotiable. And to Christine, concerned mother and Canadian citizen, that's how I signed it at that time. And this was photocopied and spread around quite a lot between the police through the police department and everything else at that time. And at that time, it was both Dalhousie as well as Hindenburg that were having the prostitution issues after they were chased out of the Byward Market area, which today we do have some prostitution, yes, but the difference is, and what is the same is I'm definitely seeing the syringes, but that's not only due to the prostitution here, it's a drug epidemic that we have. But I can honestly say I've only seen a few condoms lying around. But like I said, it was Dalhousie and Hindenburg that were having it. We joined together and with our community associations and our community officers from both Hindenburg as well as Dalhousie at the time. And it was, at that time, one of our community officers was former Deputy Chief Sue Sullivan, who was our community officer for Dalhousie at the time. I remember she was involved in this as well. But this, again, was prior to the amalgamation of the City of Ottawa. So when I talk about protecting the children, this is why, again, I wanted to reinforce the idea of the drug dogs being able to go and clear out the parks first thing in the morning, because the syringes are still there. And unfortunately, today we have crack pipes. And as I said, raking the leaves a couple of weekends ago there, I came across a broken crack pipe. And the children, when they play in our play structures, they play everywhere. But when you've got leaves that are not raked up off the ground and you find things like that in it, what do children do when they like to play? I remember being a child myself and gathering up all the leaves and putting them in a pile and then going jumping in them. But what would happen if you have a broken crack pipe or stuck with a needle that they don't know either that's in the leaves? So this is concerning. I know our community association down here in Lower Town, and of course I've been involved for many years way back. I had to stop for a while for a certain reason. But I'm back in it again because I'm really very worried about the children's future at this and what we're seeing down here. And especially just before the weekend, when it turns out that it was announced over both the national as well as the local news here that DND, which is our national defense here in one of their buildings down here, is now leaving 1,000 employees. They're taking them out of them because they're right across from one of the shelters here, and they're being assaulted and being threatened, and the windows being broken and that by all the drug dealers down here. So when you see your national defense being scared out of this area as well, we have a serious problem down here And that's just one of the things that happened. And then I remember the police chief coming on. As for the overdoses, from what I'm understanding, I think he said we had something like 787 overdose deaths. And that was from the beginning of January to almost the end of May. So I don't want to leave this too long, but I just wanted to let you know what's still going on. It's been long. We've had a long battle, and we've got a long way to go. Definitely. I know everybody's doing their best right now, but we still have to try harder with whatever resources we have. And again, for me, it's the children that I see. Our future, our past, present, and future are invested in those children. And we have to do whatever we can do. And it's a win-win situation to make sure. I know the needle hunters that we set up when I was in Hindenburg was really good, but I don't think it's enough right now to go through the parks even with the needle hunters. I think the drug dogs are better, where they can clear out the drugs if there's any needles or anything right away. I think that's extremely important as an added layer of protection for our children at this point. We are in a very desperate situation. And then the dogs, they could get their exercise at the same time, because I know they have to be constantly trained, so it would be just simply an exercise, taking the dogs through the park to make sure that our children are safe. And we have a summer coming up, and we have no idea which way it's going to go. So this is why I was suggesting the drug dogs. So I'm going to leave it here for today. And everyone, take care, be safe, watch your surroundings, and we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye.